Good morning, Alicia. Those of you that are joining, I'm going to send through, oh, that's the wrong link. I'm going to send through the Nearpod link. We're going to work on a Unit 1 review today. We're going to do it together. So if you log into this, just hang tight until everybody joins us. I'm going to just send that through right now. It is posted in Google Classroom. So either use the link on Google Classroom, use the link I just sent, or use the code. Yeah, I'm just waiting for everyone to join us. Thank you for asking me, Parker. Just letting everybody join in. He said technically our class officially doesn't start until 8:15, but then I'm always going to wait a little bit longer to let everyone else get in. So if you're joining, we are going into the Nearpod posted in Google Classroom. I'm going to resend the link information in the chat again, because if you weren't in the first time I sent it, you wouldn't have gotten it. We are going to work on a Unit 1 review today. We're going to do one together through this Nearpod, and then you're going to have an independent review to do on your own. The independent one is a lot easier than what we're going to do today. So if you're a little bit confused on some of the questions we're going to look at together, there's a lot more fractions in this Nearpod and a lot more confusing type word problems. But your independent review is going to be a lot easier. And then tomorrow during second period, you're going to have a short all multiple choice Unit 1 test. So we're all going to be in here. I'm going to send it through to you in a Google form. Your test is also going to be a lot easier than what this Unit 1 review is going to be. So I don't want any of you working on this with us right now feeling really stressed and confused. But the idea is if we can figure out how to do the really difficult problems, then we're going to understand how to do it and we'll be good to go. So that's our plan for the next 2 days. So if you're just joining in, go ahead and follow the link in Google Classroom for the Nearpod. It's going to take you to a blue screen with my Bitmoji, and it says Unit 1 Review. So we're just going to do a handful of different practice problems. Again, a lot more difficult than what you're going to work on your own, a lot more difficult than what your test is going to be. I started going through your Edpuzzle and your practice problems from yesterday. I was really impressed with what some of you guys were saying in the Edpuzzle questions. Some of you were mentioning how easy this was and how you can do them in your head. And it was really good because some of those problems are really difficult. I also noticed that some of you expressed how much more difficult that last section was. So you can breathe easy knowing that none of that is going to be on our test tomorrow. So there's not going to be any weird maps, nothing where you have to estimate. No minutes to hour questions. Your test tomorrow is just going to be finding scale factors between shapes and like scaled drawings, like the heights of building stuff that we did. So not necessarily the map confusing stuff that we did yesterday. That was just our wrap up ending lesson for us to do. Alrighty, so that we're waiting for 5 more of us to join into the review Nearpod. So again, go ahead and follow the link in Google Classroom. I'm going to send the link again in the chat just in case someone wasn't in here the first 2 times that I sent it. They wouldn't be able to see it. I am going to switch the screen in Nearpod so that those of us that are in can get started because we're only waiting for a handful now. But you do want to make sure that if you're in the Google Meet, you're also going into the Nearpod because I am watching you as you go. If you're having technical difficulties, that's perfectly fine. Just communicate that with me. And that will be good. Okay, so you can see your first problem. You have a floor plan. I'm sorry, this one is kind of blurry. The rest of them are not. I don't know what happened here. It says the floor plan shows Bonnie's house. Use it to answer the following questions. So you can see a scale. It says that a 1/2 inch is equal to 3 feet. So first thing you want to do is find your scale factor and then use it to answer question A and B. The width of the bedroom on the floor plan is 1.5 inches. What's the actual width? And then the length of the kitchen on the floor plan is 3 inches. So find the actual length. So find your scale factor. And again, these problems are a little bit more complicated than what you're going to see tomorrow. There is a lot of fractions in today's work. But remember, if you see a fraction, go ahead and just make it into a decimal. It's going to make it a lot easier for you. Be careful with your decimals. It's a 1/2, not 1.5. I see some of you converting it, but just make sure if you're still stuck on, I see a lot of you doing it actually. If you're still stuck on fractions to decimals, remember top number divided by bottom number. Or just think, what is $1/2? How much change do you have? You don't have $1.50. Top number divided by bottom number. There you go. I see some of you fixing it now. So if your scale is 1/2 inch to 3 feet, find that scale factor and then use it to scale up. And I see some of you, your screens are just still blank on here. So if something's going on, if you're having trouble, just communicate that with me. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my answer because it just seems like a lot of us are getting tripped up because there's so many decimals in here. So if you're still working, that's okay. But take a look. Remember your method for how to do these. First thing you want to do is find your scale factor. So if I'm going from the scale drawing, which is in 1/2 inch, to the actual length, which is 3 feet, I drew my arrow so that I know I take the end of my arrow divided by the start. So you did 3 divided by 0.5, and it gives you your scale factor of 6. When you're finding your scale factor here, you always want to take your actual length divided by the length in the drawing. So the big number divided by the small number. So 3 feet divided by 1/2 gives me a scale factor of 6. So then we're going to use that scale factor of 6 to multiply my 1/2 inch width of the bedroom to 9 feet, and then my 3-inch length of the kitchen to 18 feet. Okay. But you just need to remember here that when you're looking for your scale factor, take the bigger dimension divided by the smaller one. So what is it in real life divided by what it is in the scale copy. And then when you see the fraction, convert it to a decimal. We're all on a lot of different pages on that one, which is all right. Hopefully this one's going to go better. All I want you to answer here is part C. There's not enough information for D because I don't have the picture on this screen and I don't want to keep flipping back and forth. So only answer C. You have the same scale. 1/2 an inch is equal to 3 feet. The study measures 2 inches by 1.5 inches on the floor plan. Find the actual dimensions of the study. So you want to know, what does 2 inches scale up to and what does 1.5 inches scale up to? And I re-put that same scale on there, talking about the same floor plan. 1/2 an inch is equal to 3 feet. So what is your scale factor? And then use your scale factor to scale 2 inches to 1.5 inches. Again, do not answer question D. There is not enough information. You do not have the picture on the screen. If you don't remember what I said the scale factor was on the other page, remember to take the actual length divided by the scaled length. So in your scale, you have 3 feet in real life and 1/2 an inch in the drawing. So 3 divided by 1/2 gives you your scale factor. Perfect. I see a lot of us fixing our mistakes that we were doing on the other page. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. And so you're given your scale. It says 1/2 inch is equal to 3 feet. So 3 divided by 1/2 to find that scale factor. Multiply that up into your dimensions. Perfect. Much better answers than what we saw on that last page. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you because most of us I can see are either have the right answer or getting to the right answer. But I'm going to put it just to help those that are still a little bit confused. So if you are unsure how to do this, make sure you're paying attention when I share the screen with you. So again, I had that same scale. So you can see I drew that arrow in. 3 feet divided by 1/2 inch showed me that I get 3 divided by 0.5 and my scale factor is 6. So then once I find that scale factor, multiply my scaled dimensions. I did 2 times 6 to get 12 and 1.5 times 6 to get 9. Okay, so my new dimensions were 9 by 12. But the main idea here is that if you're given that scale in a drawing, take the actual length divided by the drawing length. If you're given any fractions, just convert them to decimals and then it makes it nice and easy. Okay, so we have another problem. It says the image below shows the fountain in front of a hotel. The diameter of the fountain is 4 centimeters. What is the actual diameter of the fountain? So you're given a vocab word in here talking about diameter. You don't need to remember what that is for this problem, but if you do remember, that's just the length through a circle. But it tells you, if you look at that image on your iPads, you're given a scale that says 1 centimeter is equal to 0.5 meters. So find your scale factor in that scale. Remember, actual length divided by the drawing length, or the bigger dimension divided by the smaller dimension, and then use that to scale up the 4 centimeters. So make sure you're looking at the scale. Divide the number on the right by the number on the left. Make sure we're multiplying in the right way. If we're looking for the actual length, remember when we talked about multiplying versus dividing. Again, I still see some of our screens where your drawings aren't loading yet. So if you're having some kind of issue loading this on your iPad, you have to make sure you are communicating that with me. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume you're not doing the work. Perfect. I see a lot of us with the right answer and then finishing up writing the right answer. So I am going to push my answer out to you just so that we can move on to the next one. Again, you're always doing these problems the same way. So I took that scale that was in that box and you can see I have my arrow from 1 centimeter to 1/2 meter. So I went ahead and divided 0.5 by 1 to get my scale factor of 0.5. So then I went ahead and multiplied 4 centimeters by 0.5. Some of you I noticed were dividing by 0.5 because it seemed like you were getting smaller. But keep in mind, we're talking about meters compared to centimeters. So if my actual measurement is in meters, that's a lot bigger than 1 centimeter. So we're still getting smaller because our units are smaller. So just make sure you're thinking about that in the right way. If we were going up to the actual image, you're always multiplying. If you're going down to the scaled image, you're going to divide. When you have these scales, take the number on the right divided by the number on the left. It's always going to give you your scale factor, and then use that to multiply up. Now you are looking at problem 3. It says use the scale to find the length of the classroom below if 1/4 of an inch is equal to 3 feet. So think about everything you just saw on the last few problems. When you see a fraction, make it into a decimal. Find your scale factor by taking the number on the right divided by the number on the left, or by taking your actual length divided by your scaled length, or your bigger measurement divided by your smaller measurement, all different ways to think about it. Find that scale factor, and then multiply it by the dimension in the drawing. Perfect. Be careful with decimals. I'm still seeing you guys trying to convert them wrong. Top number divided by bottom number. 1/4 as a decimal is 0.25. If you do 1 divided by 4, you get 0.25. Or if you think about it, what's 1/4 of a dollar? If you have a 1/4 of a dollar, you have 25 cents. But I see a lot of you doing the right process, but you're getting tripped up because of that decimal. Sydney, I'm watching what you're doing, and your method is very impressive to me right now. Very, very cool work that you got going on, Sydney. I don't typically like to mention you guys out by name to everybody, but I'm going to share your work out to the class because I really like it. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is share my screen out. Oh, I'll do this one. Okay, so I'll share this student's work. So you can see we're going through, we're finding that scale factor. She did 3 divided by 1/4 and got a scale factor of 12. And then she took her scaled length of 2 times that scale factor of 12 and got your actual length was 24 inches. So I don't know where this 8 feet came from, but your final answer there should have been that 24 inches. You were good to go right there. Find your scale factor, multiply it up, and you get 24. I am going to share this out to you. So notice what this student did. So they wrote their scale of 1/4 of an inch is equal to 3 feet. And then they recognized that they had to scale 2 inches up, but she rewrote 2 inches as a fraction to make it look like 8/4. So then she figured out, what does 1 multiply to get to 8, and recognized that that scale factor was 8. So then she, on the right-hand side, multiplied 3 by 8 to get 24. Okay. Very cool way to do that. But as long as you found your answer of 24, you're good to go. And again, you're finding that scale factor. 3 divided by 1/4 inch gave me a scale factor of 12. Scaling up to find the actual length, 2 times 12 gives me 24. Okay, here's your next problem, 2 multiple choice questions. We have the scale of a treasure map shows that 5 centimeters is equal to 4 kilometers. What number of centimeters on the map represents an actual distance of 10 kilometers? So these are like that height of a building problems we were doing the other day. What is the actual number of kilometers that is represented by 2 centimeters on the map? So 2 different problems. The first one, you are trying to figure out what the scaled size is. The second one, you're trying to figure out what the actual size is. And again, anytime you're given that scale, right number divided by left number, and that gives you your scale factor. Or the actual length divided by the scale length. So I see some of you dividing the kilometers, 10 kilometers divided by 4 kilometers. But if you're going that route, that answer is just going to be your scale factor. So that means that once you find that answer from 10 divided by 4, you have to use that with the 5 centimeters somehow. So all you're doing when you do 10 divided by 4 is finding that scale factor. But then how are you going to use that scale factor in the 5 centimeters to find your actual answer? So it's a good method that you're using, but just make sure you're doing it the right way. Perfect. You guys are doing really good on this one. A couple different ways I can see that you're using to solve this. It's very, very good. Take another couple of seconds to finish up. I see you all finished with that first question, so just try and work through and get question B. I see really good answers. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. Said some of you are done with the right answers. I can see some of you work in that way, so you're on the right track. So again, just find that scale factor. 4 divided by 5 gave me 0.8. So then I went ahead, and since they gave me the actual distance and I was scaling it down, you needed to divide. And then for part B, they gave you the scaled length, so I multiplied. I used the same scale factor. One was dividing and one was multiplying. I noticed some of you were doing 10 divided by 4 to get a scale factor of 2.5, which was perfect. And then you just had to go ahead and multiply 5 by 2.5 to get that length of 12.5. So really good ways to find this. All right. Here's your next one. Going back to scale factors and scaled copies. So triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF. Similar just means that they're scaled copies. It's just different language. If the scale factor between the triangles is 2.5, what is the height of the larger triangle? So a little bit easier, no more of those scaled map problems. You can see the image, you're given the scale factor. So what number should go where that question mark is? Another couple seconds to finish up. All right, I am going to share a screen. I can see us all finishing up. I was waiting. I'll just share this. Okay, so we're given the scale factor 2.5. The actual height is 1.5. So I took 1.4 times 2.5. I also recognize some of you were going about and doing it like we were doing the maps yesterday, where you were estimating the length. So I saw some of you taking the height of the 1.4 and drawing little tick marks on the bigger triangle to figure out how many of those fit. And you recognized on your own that there were 2.5 of them up that side, and you added. Very impressed with that method. Here, I'll share this out because now this one got submitted. This is what I was saying. So the student took the 1.4 and recognized that there was 1, 2, and about a half of another one up there. So then they added all of those together and still got the same answers. So that kind of goes along with what we were doing yesterday with those maps. Very cool how many different approaches you guys are finding. I'm going to skip. No, I'll do this one. Okay, it says, Cole is an urban planner. He wants to create a small scale drawing of a city block. The block is a square with side lengths of 100 meters. Draw the city block such that 1 unit is equal to 5 meters. So 1 unit here represents 1 block on that grid that you can see. So one of those units represents 5 meters. So draw a picture of the square if he needs it to be 100 meters. So how many blocks is he going to use? Draw the scale image. And then I think when some of you finish with this, you're going to think it's kind of silly. Use that grid that's next to you to draw your shape so that you're making sure that it is even on all sides. That's what that grid is there for. Although some of you are going to start drawing and thinking it's a little goofy. Again, one little tiny square on that grid represents 5 meters. So then how many would represent 100? I'm doing a scale drawing of the city block. Again, I understand some of us for these problems are working on a computer and it's hard to draw. There's not going to be any drawing on your test tomorrow. It's all strictly multiple choice, barely any fractions. Like I said, a lot easier than all of these problems that we're looking at. So if you're getting a little bit frustrated with drawing on things like this, you're not going to have to do that tomorrow. But seeing all your answers here, I have full confidence that we're all going to do really well tomorrow. All right, I'm going to share this answer out because most of us are finishing up, or I can see some of us typing out our answers and we're getting to the right answer, or we're just waiting to draw it in. So I'm just going to share this one out. So again, perfect method here. Found that scale factor as 5 because we did 5 meters divided by 1 unit. So my scale factor was 5. So then 100 was the size in real life. So I'm scaling it down. So we're dividing by 5 and we get 20. And then a lot of you recognized, well, that's just the shape of the whole grid on that paper. But we had 20 units, so we went through and drew it all out there. Perfect. Okay, here's another one that's similar. It says, Chris examines a salt crystal under his microscope. He finds that it is a cube with each side length of 6 millimeters. Draw on the square face of the crystal, draw the face on the grid below. Okay, so you're given a scale. Your scale shows you that there are 4 blocks for 3 millimeters. So what are you going to draw for 6 millimeters? You need to draw a square that is 6 millimeters around, but you're scaling it to fit that grid. So use that scale and think about what it's saying. It should say draw 1 square face of the crystal on the grid below, if you're reading through that. So you're just drawing 1 face of the cube. If your scale is 4 blocks is the same as 3 millimeters, then how many blocks would you need for 6 millimeters? If you're having trouble drawing, if you just want to type what the dimensions are going to be, that will be fine. It might be a little bit easier. If you just want to write out the numbers, what are going to be the dimensions of your new cube? There's 4 blocks in 3 millimeters. How many blocks for 6 millimeters? Perfect. Another couple seconds to finish up what you're writing. I see someone's answer that I'm going to share out. I'm just going to let her finish typing so that you can all see what she's writing. Make sure we're counting our blocks correct. I see a correct answer, but wrong dimensions across the side. So make sure you're just counting those blocks correctly. Alrighty. So take a look at this student's work. She recognized that 3 millimeters times 2 gets me to 6 millimeters. So it was 3 in the drawing and 6 in real life. So she found that that scale factor was 2. So then if my drawing was 4 blocks long, I'm going to multiply that by 2 to figure out that my actual length is going to be 8 blocks long. And that's what she's writing up here. If 4 blocks are 3 millimeters and I need 6, 3 times 2 is 6. So she needs to do 4 times 2 to get 8. And 8 is the side length. Perfect. And again, if you needed to find that scale factor, that was exactly right. 3 millimeters to 6 is times 2. So then 4 blocks times 2 gives you 8. A lot of us got that right answer. Very nice. I'm going to skip this one. We'll go here. A little bit easier, less drawing, no more of those block type problems. But this will be our last problem, and then I'll explain the rest of your day. It says a scale on a map shows that 2.5 centimeters represents 15 kilometers. What number of actual kilometers are represented by 17.5 centimeters on the map? So again, you're given that scale, find that scale factor, and then scale up the dimension they give you. And again, remember your process. Number on the right divided by number on the left, bigger number divided by smaller number, actual divided by drawing, all the same way to think about it. Find your scale factor first. If 2.5 centimeters represents 15 kilometers, take the kilometers divided by the centimeters. That's going to give you your scale factor. And then multiply your scale drawing up. So again, be careful. I noticed some of you dividing your centimeters. So 17.5 centimeters divided by 2.5 centimeters. Perfect first step, but that number that you get is just your scale factor. So then you're going to have to use that scale factor to scale your 15 kilometers up. So if you're dividing centimeters by centimeters, that's your scale factor. Scale your kilometers up. It's only your first step there. I see some of you doing. All right. Finish up what you're working on. I'm going to share the answer out just so that I can get us moving and explain the next part. So again, same thing, you're given that scale, same first step, find that scale factor. 15 divided by 2.5 gave you a scale factor of 6. So then I took 6 and I multiplied it up by 17.5 to find the actual length to get 105. Some of you, like I was saying, I wanted to share this one out, but it's not submitted yet. Some of you were finding your scale factor between centimeters. So you did 17.5 divided by 2.5, and you're going to get a number there. And then multiplied that by 15 kilometers, and you got the same thing. All right ways. Okay. But if you're going to stick to one way to do these, remember you're taking the actual length divided by the scaled length. That is your scale factor. And then multiply up the scaled image. Okay. So the only other assignment that is posted in Google Classroom is a review. It's shorter than this. It's a lot easier than this. This mainly focused on scale drawings and maps. Your independent assignment is more scale factors with scaled copies in like single geometric shapes. So it should be a little bit easier for you to work through on your own. So that is what you're doing during 9th period today. This room is going to be open. I also uploaded an answer key to help you. I noticed that a lot of you are using those to help you, and I really appreciate it. It means you're really putting in the work to try to figure out how to do them. Even if you're just watching them and copying the answers, that's what they're up there for, because I'm not with you guys to help you through all of this. Okay, but you're going to do that review, turn that in. If you need help, come in 9th period and I will be here to help you. Look at the answer key that is posted to help you. Tomorrow during 2nd period, you're going to log in at 8:15 and I'm going to explain how the test is going to go. I do not want any of you leaving right now feeling really stressed out that there's a test. It's, like I said, a lot easier than what we just did. It's even a lot easier than what you're going to be doing on your own tomorrow. It's all multiple choice. I'm going to push it through to you on a Google form. All right, but that's what your 9th period and then tomorrow is going to look like. So you are free to begin working on that review if you want, or you can just come back to it during 9th period. But you guys worked really well today, so keep it up, and we're all going to do great tomorrow on our test. But you are now free to leave the room.